Well, hello guys. This is Katie with Vintage and Vinyl, back with another great video for you today. And we are continuing our read of this 1950s saucy romance novel, House of Flesh. This has been a fabulous gold medal book. I've talked about gold medal before, but I really love the way that they changed the publishing industry. So if you're interested in that, I will link a great video down below that you can watch and learn a little bit more about gold medal publishing and, of course, Fawcett Publications. And I just love this book. House of Flesh is really getting interesting. There is some great development in this book, of course. In our last chapter, we were wondering what was happening with Dr. Doan and our main character, Harry, because Harry was in a fight with Dr. Doan, of course, over Layla Doan, Dr. Doan's wife, and, of course, the kind of mistress of Harry. So we got to figure out what's going on with that. And of course, she's disappeared. So we don't know if she was murdered. We don't know what happened to her. And of course, Dr. Doan's previous wife was also murdered. We know that now, or we're pretty sure of that anyway. So there's a lot of things, and the plot does thicken. So we must learn more. And I'm excited to read this chapter to you. It is a shorter chapter. And we have Peterson here. Welcome, Peterson. Got Doo-Wop Bob. Welcome, welcome, Bob. Hey, Tia Fane. And yes, I was wondering where everyone is too. You know, I messed up and I forgot to advertise this on Instagram today. And so I just put out a notice about it. So we may not have as many initial people in the chat as normal. Maybe people were wondering if I was going to have the reading or not. I messed up and didn't advertise. So see, that's the power of advertising. Hi, Jeannie, Chicago lady. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Let's see. I'm trying to get my microphone positioned just perfectly. I think that's good. And, of course, we got Bob in the chat. Doo-Wop Bob. Bob is another lover of the gold medal books, and he has a collection of these himself, all of these old books, and it is so fun chatting with him about that, and, of course, records. Hello, LJ. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I do believe Johnny is having a show tonight, Johnny G's Vinyl Treasure Show. I believe he has moved to Mondays. So Bob will let us know in the chat for sure, but that's exciting. And of course, he's still on Saturday nights at 10 p.m. I've been missing the last couple of Saturdays because I've just had so much to do from live sales and so forth. But I really hope to be back in the chat this Saturday because Johnny just runs a great show. There's also a couple of things happening in our community as well, in the vintage community. Tim, over the years, is having his vintage live sale with Josie and Ma Dukes. That's coming up at 8 o'clock. And I believe that there will be no Vintage Rescue Squad for this month. They're taking a break off, so Vintage Rescue Squad will not happen tonight. But George, the Antique Nomad, is having his premiere at 8 o'clock Eastern. So you want to stay tuned for that as well. So lots happening after my reading. Hey, Sharon, thanks so much for joining the chat. LJ is here. I think I said hello to LJ. Jose is here. Welcome, welcome. And who else am I missing in the chat? Oh, my best friend is here, Chastity. I'm so glad you're tuning in. It's good to see you. We haven't gotten to chat really either, so I've been missing Chastity. Hello, Randy, Mr. L. Page. Welcome, welcome. Thank you, LJ. Yes, this is a forbidden fruit lucite brooch. It's a 1950s lucite brooch, and it's a little apple. It's just so pretty. And I'm really loving my shirt today because today I have on Dee's new shirt, The Thrill of the Thrift. She's got a really fabulous line of merch out. And so this is Dee's shirt, The Thrill of the Thrift. Look, a little Binksy on the front. I just think this is so cool. So I love Dee's new shirt, and she's got some fun merch out. And I have merch as well. So if you're interested in any of my merch, the link to that will be down below. And of course, Dee is on Teespring. I believe her store is Thrill of the Thrift. So this is a fun shirt. Hey, Gabrielle, thanks so much for joining. I'm glad you're here. Who else is in the chat? I'm sure I've missed some people, but thanks so much for tuning in. And I know this was a little late notice. I should have advertised on Instagram. But, you know, sometimes I forget to do that. You know, you do everything else that you need to do. And then it's either, for me, I forget to share a story, or sometimes I forget to make the link. And in today's case, I did both. It escaped me. So I'm so glad that you guys are here now and getting the notification for this live show. So hopefully Louie doesn't bark through this. We've had some fun down at the dog park today. The building has a dog park, and there's a lot of dogs running around, and Louie was going absolute nuts a few minutes ago. She's just gone crazy. So hopefully we don't have that today. But if it does happen, she says hello to all of you guys. And of course, Louie loves you guys so much. And we are continuing our read of this 1950s House of Flesh novel. This is a gold medal book. Talked about gold medal and Fawcett Publications, but they really did change the publishing industry. And they put out some great books. So I'm excited to read more. I don't know what we'll do after this book. I have quite a few books actually in my library that I can pick from. So we'll have to maybe do some voting. Maybe I'll put out a video and let you guys vote what the next book will be. Now, the fun thing about this book is I had not read it in advance. So that does make things a little interesting when you don't pre-read things to see if it's suitable for YouTube. I kind of just went in with this book because the cover was so interesting looking and it just seemed like a good book, and it really has turned out to be. But I've got a few other books that we can see if any of those will be fun for our next read, because I do want to continue this series. So, and we'll have to stick in the vintage book realm. I don't think that I can do any modern books because I don't want to get into any copyright trouble. But if we do books that are old enough, I think they'll be okay. So we want to stick with that. Hey, Bob, again, saying hello to my mom. My mom's in the chat. Oh, there's Mom. Yes, maybe we find out who the murderer is tonight. I'm very interested in that. So we are in chapter 20. We are almost finished with the book. Let's see, there's 27 chapters. So we're getting to the end, folks, of this book, and I am so excited about it. So this book has seen some days. I want to show you guys this. This book, as careful as I have tried to be with it, it is still falling apart. So I'm being very, very careful with this book. The binding is long gone. It has fallen out of the book completely, but all the pages are here. And so I'm just being extra careful with it tonight since this chapter is particularly fragile, but it is just fun. So yes, this is a short chapter tonight, and it is so much fun. Hey, Angela, thanks so much for joining. Angela's awesome. I just talked to Angela on video chat, and she was at a thrift store and found some records for me. So thank you. Yes, that was some dirty record digging today. Yeah, some of the records that Angela was pulling out were really dirty and grimy. One of them was Wedding Disco. It was so bizarre. So we had fun going through that. But thank you, Angela. You found some great things, including Teresa Brewer, Music. I'm very excited about that. So that was a great find, Angela. Hello, Helen Booty, New England Thrifter. I'm trying to combine your name with your actual name, but I'm so glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, Wedding Disco was one. There was a couple of polkas, some swing music. There were some interesting titles. There really, really was. But thank you, Angela, for looking through all those records for me. I appreciate it. Okay, so we are going to get started with chapter 20 right now. House of Flesh, chapter 20 by Bruno Fisher. The voice in the state police headquarters told me that Sergeant Hickey was cruising in his patrol car. Would you get in touch with him right away? I said. What's it about? I paused. A murder. The news didn't excite the voice. Who's speaking? My name's Harry Wilde. Okay, just a minute, please. I could hear the buzzing voices of at least two people speaking away from the phone. The voice returned. Are you the Harry Wilde who led Sergeant Hickey to part of Skelton and Norset? That's right. You have any additional information? It could be called additional information. Plenty, I said. This is urgent. I'm in my bungalow. Sergeant Hickey knows where it is. Right. Okay. Wait for him there. I hung up and sucked my split knuckles. I went into the bathroom and bathed my bruised face. Then I went out to the road to wait. My leg muscles didn't cease quivering. Bill Hickey must have been cruising nearby, because before he arrived, I finished my second cigarette. He came at a fast clip. Brakes started to squeal as the police car passed his own driveway. He stopped beside me, and I opened the door. "Holy cat," he said. "What meat grinder did you put your face into?" I sat behind him and showed him my knuckles. "You should see Kenneth Doane's face." I dropped my cigarette through the window and gulped for air. He killed Layla. He shot me a quick glance and put the car into gear. When he was moving at high speed, he said, "He caught you two together, huh?" "Yes, last night, but that wasn't why we had the fight." "Damn it, didn't I warn you?" His mouth twisted. "Okay, I knew it wouldn't do any good. You knew the score. Let's have it." I began at the end and worked back and skipped about and sounded wild and incoherent to myself, but he got enough of it to realize that there was no need to hurry and that it would be better for him to have it all before we reached there. So he stopped the car. "Hold it," he said. "You didn't see her body or any sign of murder?" "I saw enough. She was expecting me to come for her this morning. If she decided she couldn't wait, she would have phoned me or walked to my place." "Couldn't it be that she was just fed up with the both of you?" "All right," I said. "But why didn't she take her clothes and her expensive brooch and her wallet? Why was her wrapper in the kitchen? And why didn't she drive the car at least to the Fort Able station?" He nodded gravely. "Alone, none of that would mean so much, but after last night." He drove on. The knuckles of both my hands were at my mouth. I sat against them. "At last night, I went home and left her there. Left her there to be killed." "Oh, cut it out, Harry. I knew something would happen. You said it yourself. The second murder is easy. But I let her talk me out of protecting her." "Let me tell you something," Bill said gently. "You can't protect people who don't want it or don't want to believe they're in any danger. What could you have done?" "Well, I could have called the police." "And what could we have done? Can't force a woman not to spend the night with her husband, and he wasn't disobeying any law." A sound that was not quite a laugh trickled through his nostrils. "Yeah, he didn't disobey any law but murder Alice. We never have pinned it on him, but by God, this one." His big hands opened and closed on the wheel. We heard the dogs when we entered the side road. They were howling rather than barking, and it seemed to me that there was a lonely, plaintive quality in their voices. Did they know the mistress was dead? As the car swung off the road, I saw that they were out of the paddock, but they didn't rush up to us. All four were huddled at the barn door, and near them, Kenneth Doane lay face down on the ground. Oddly, his hair no longer looked blonde, but I had only a glimpse before the station wagon cut off my view of him. I said, "He must have passed out after Bill yanked the handbrake and without cutting the engine, slammed out of the car. All I could see of Doane were his legs, one extended at a sprawled angle and one at bent knee. The dogs had become quiet, and my heart thumped. I got out of the car. Past the side of the station wagon, I saw Bill bending over Doane. The dogs watched him without menace, as if something had completely cowed them. I moved around the station wagon and stopped abruptly. The back of Doane's head was gone. Bill was kneeling, stared at me over his shoulder. He said bleakly, "So all you used were your fists?" I wet my lips. "Is he dead?" "What do you think? They don't live with their skulls smashed into their brain by a crowbar." My eyes shifted on past Bill, and the dead man came out to rest on the long black crowbar on the bare ground. Even from where I stood, I could see it on the dark blood and bits of skin and flesh all over the ground. "Listen," I said, "that's the crowbar he threatened me with to make me leave. He dropped it when I got into my car, and then somebody." My voice faded as Bill rose. His right hand crossed the gun on his left hip, touched the stock, and then came away. "Where's Mrs. Doan?" he asked. "I told you I don't know what he did with her." "Maybe you found her dead. Anyway, you were sure that he murdered her, the way he murdered Alice. But you killed him." For the last minute, I had seen that coming. No, I muttered. "I'm sorry, Harry." He glanced towards the knoll, and the jaw muscle bulged, quivering. "He deserved what he got, but it's not for me to say. I'm a cop. I'll tell you, he was alive when I left him." "You tried to be too smart," Bill said, as if angry with me for having botched it. "You should have gone home and let somebody else find the body. Might have been days," and then he scowled. "You're under arrest." He pulled out a pair of handcuffs. I didn't care. I was too empty inside, too emotionally and physically exhausted. A man could reach a point where he didn't care much what had happened after that. "I won't run away," I said. He looked into my face. "No, I guess not." He went to his car and pulled out the radio handset and stood to watch me as he spoke into it. In her kennel in the paddock, Maxine started to yelp shrilly. The other dogs stirred nervously, growling. "Yeah, I heard Bill report. I have him right here." Well, that is it, folks, for chapter 20. So we'll have to see what happened in chapter 21 next week. It seems like our main character has now been arrested for murder. So that is interesting. I don't think that he killed Dr. Doan, though. I think Dr. Doan was murdered by Layla. I'm convinced that Layla is the suspicious character now and that she murdered him. So there is definitely something. Yes, it's kind of like Clue. Who did it? You know, did they do it in the parlor with a candlestick or with a rope? Like, we got to find out what's going on here, because this is a twist I did not expect. Now, I will say I was talking to Doo-Wop Bob, and Bob has already read this book, and he told me that there was something really unexpected at the end. So we need to stay tuned for that. And Bob is not telling, so you cannot bribe him or bribe me. I don't know what's going to happen next. I have not read the next chapter, but next week we'll have to tune in to see what has happened with that. Hey, Steph sells stuff by the seashore. That's a hard name to say. Yeah, definitely a 50s book. Holy cats. I love this 50s lingo, though. Oh, you got 12 vinyls. Yes, Angela did really well. Let's see. Oh, Peterson saying the cow was controversial, so they chose cat. Yeah, I think that's just, holy cats was a phrase from the 50s. Yeah, I think Layla killed him too, Tim. I really do. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, a crowbar. Yeah, I think the crowbar is the one that did it. So instead of the lead pipe, we have the crowbar now. Yeah, there's some mysterious things afoot for sure. Yes, Delbert, you missed quite a bit. Our main character is under arrest, so you're going to have to go back and catch this chapter that you missed. Finally, yes. Is making some sense. Yeah, I think Layla, for a while I wasn't suspicious of Layla, but I think Layla is definitely evil. Evil, yes, very evil. He died from eating a jello mold. Yeah, I'll tell you, those 50s jello molds might kill you, especially the ones that have like meat and cucumber and onion and jello and sugar and stuff in them. Yes, Daniel, I'm sorry you missed it, but you can always tune back in for the next chapter and catch the replay. So if you have been following along and you've missed a couple of chapters, you can always go back. The replays are up and watch for that. Yeah, I think Layla is a bit of a nutso. And you know what's interesting about Layla is if you notice in the previous chapter, she was very quiet for a lot of times that, of course, our main character, Harry, would ask her something. So it seemed really, really suspicious to me. I think there's something up with her. Yes, I'm always throwing the cucumber under the bus. Well, Layla could be misunderstood. There could be that, Helen. And maybe the new wife. Now, this is a thought too. What if the ex-wife wasn't really murdered? And what if she came back and killed him? That's interesting. But I don't know what happened to Layla, because that whole thing is just peculiar to me. Yeah, the quiet ones. Yeah, the quiet ones are interesting. Oh, proud American. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's definitely something you got to watch out for. And Layla's just bizarre. She's bizarre. Now, I don't think Harry had anything to do with it. I just think that he happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because I don't really think that he did it. I think he's just caught in the middle of all of this. But we'll have to see next week, chapter 21. So stay tuned for that, for House of Flesh by Bruno Fisher. Great chapter. We'll have more next week for you. Make sure you tune into some of the live events happening in the community tonight. Don't forget that Tim at Over the Years is having his live sale with Josie and Ma Dukes over at Tim at Over the Years at 8 o'clock Eastern. That's tonight. No Vintage Rescue Squad, but George the Antique Nomad will have his premiere at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, Johnny G's Vinyl Treasure Show is on tonight at 8. When is Johnny on, Bob? I don't know what time that he goes on, but he's on tonight. I keep thinking 8 because there's so many things at 8 o'clock in our community on Monday nights. Daniel, were you pretty quiet on Pictionary? Are you trying to tell us something? Oh, boy, Peterson. Oh, man. Well, what a chapter, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. I will see you all next week. Don't forget also that this Wednesday we have a very exciting Duo Dive. This is a new series I've been working on. So Duo Dive will be on Patrick's channel this week. And we're going to have Nancy from This Overstuffed House talking about vintage rhinestones. So tune in for that for Duo Dive on Wednesday on Patrick's channel. And then I will be on Beth, Carolina Sweet Treats and Pretty's channel at 6 o'clock on Thursday talking about vintage glass. So stay tuned for that. And Bob is saying Johnny G is on at 8 or if not 9 tonight. Okay, wonderful. I will stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. And I hope, as always, you guys will stay in, stay safe, and bend YouTube. Bye-bye now.